Ever found yourself torn between adopting a pet parrot with a cheeky attitude or grabbing a double cheeseburger at 3 a.m. just because you can? Random, I know. But stick around, and I promise this ride will be worth it. Texting might seem like the easiest thing in the world, but we've all had that moment of panic after hitting send. What if there was a way to approach those nerve-wracking texting scenarios with calm and confidence, like some secret code you could crack? Enter Stoicism, the ancient philosophy that teaches emotional resilience, self-control, and a sense of inner power. But here's the twist. We're going to take those timeless Stoic principles and apply them to the modern world of digital conversations. Intrigued yet? In just a moment, we'll be diving into a set of 6 texting secrets women can't resist, reframed through the lens of Stoicism. No gimmicks or trickery, just genuine ways to make your texts feel both confident and real. After all, nobody wants to sound like a robot, or worse yet, a desperate spammer. Before we get into all that, this is Masculine Stoic Mind reminding you to keep that curious spark alive. Trust me, you won't want to bail early. You might just discover a whole new approach to texting that could flip your entire game. Let's jump in. The power of a Stoic mindset. Building genuine attraction through composure. Stoicism isn't just about being emotionless or cold. It's about developing the mental fortitude to remain calm amid life's ups and downs. Picture a steady ship in a stormy sea. No matter how rough the waves get, it sails forward with confidence. That unwavering sense of composure can be incredibly magnetic. People gravitate toward those who project an aura of calm, especially in a world overflowing with constant noise and pressure. At its core, Stoicism encourages you to focus on what you can control, your reactions, your thoughts, and your attitude, while letting go of what's outside your sphere of influence. This approach fosters a mental state free from unnecessary worry and anxiety. Imagine someone who refuses to freak out over a text that takes hours to get a reply. Instead of spiraling, they calmly carry on with their day. That relaxed mindset can be a major plus when building attraction. If you've ever felt that nagging pressure to impress someone through texting, crafting the perfect joke or the most intriguing opener, you know how stressful that can be. A Stoic mindset reminds you that you can't control how someone else will respond, but you can control the clarity and sincerity of what you say. This shift in perspective often makes your words more genuine and reduces the awkwardness that comes from overthinking. Have you ever considered how your composure affects the way people perceive you during moments of tension or conflict? When you remain calm under pressure, it sends a powerful message that you're not easily rattled, and that's an attractive quality. In dating and relationships, minor issues will pop up. Handling them with level-headedness can set the tone for healthier interactions and deeper connections. One of the key principles of Stoicism is self-awareness, which naturally leads to better emotional management. When you understand your triggers and responses, you're less likely to lash out, ghost, or spiral into negative thinking. This emotional steadiness not only benefits you, it also creates a space where genuine conversation can flourish. People are more open to connecting when they sense you're both understanding and composed. Another benefit of the Stoic mindset is that it frees you from the fear of judgment. Instead of constantly worrying about how every text or comment will land, you can focus on being yourself, confident, respectful, and authentic. Trying too hard often pushes people away, while the calm assurance of someone who knows their worth has a naturally magnetic pull. Ultimately, a Stoic approach to attraction isn't about playing games or manipulating situations. It's about adopting a perspective that helps you stay grounded and true to yourself, even in the chaotic world of modern dating. If there's one question to ask yourself here, it might be, how can I use composure to showcase the best version of myself? By focusing on what you can control, your actions and reactions, you'll find that genuine attraction often follows naturally. Strategic silence. Why pausing before you text can spark more interest. Communication in the digital age often feels like a race. Everybody rushes to reply the moment a notification pops up. But what if hitting the brakes instead of the send button could actually increase your value in someone else's eyes? A brief pause doesn't just give you time to gather your thoughts. It also creates a sense of curiosity that can make the other person more engaged in the conversation. Taking a moment before you text is a subtle way of showing self-control. When you're not scrambling to respond immediately, you send the message that you're comfortable in your own skin. Think of it as the digital equivalent of standing tall and composed when someone speaks to you. Stoicism encourages this kind of emotional restraint, reminding us that real confidence rarely needs to shout. Pausing also protects you from knee-jerk reactions. We've all fired off a text in the heat of emotion, maybe anger, jealousy, or impatience, only to regret it later. A Stoic mindset helps you recognize those feelings without letting them dictate your next move. A short silence can act as a reset button, letting you approach the conversation with clarity rather than impulsiveness. This doesn't mean you should leave someone hanging for days or ignore them altogether. Silence is strategic, not a silent treatment. By taking a short break to reflect on your words, you give yourself a chance to craft a thoughtful, confident response. It's about showing respect for both yourself and the person you're texting. After all, a rushed, careless answer rarely does anyone any favors. In many ways, strategic silence is a form of active listening. Even in text form, relationships thrive on reciprocity and genuine engagement. When you pause, you demonstrate that you're truly considering the other person's words. If someone senses that their message is getting more than a fleeting glance, they'll naturally be drawn deeper into the conversation. Have you ever sent a text you instantly regretted, then wished you could take it back? Pausing before hitting send is your built-in safety net. By simply waiting a moment, you allow emotions to settle, grammar mistakes to surface, and better phrasing to come to mind. Whether you're discussing casual weekend plans or wading into something more intimate, that brief pause can save you from unnecessary missteps. Ultimately, strategic silence is about wielding your time with purpose. It shows you're deliberate, not desperate. You don't need to rush after every ping. Instead, you weigh your words, reflect on your intentions, and respond with the calm assurance that defines a Stoic approach. In doing so, you invite intrigue and signal that your presence in any conversation is something to be appreciated, not taken for granted. Purposeful curiosity, asking questions that show you truly care. Many people think curiosity is just a tool for small talk, but purposeful curiosity dives deeper and actually strengthens connections. When you ask questions that show genuine interest, you're giving someone a chance to open up about who they are beyond the surface-level details. It's like unlocking doors that most people pass by without a second glance. Stoicism encourages us to focus on what we can control, our own thoughts and actions. One of the most powerful ways to demonstrate control in a conversation is by truly listening and asking follow-up questions. Rather than worrying about how impressive your next line will be, you shift the spotlight onto the other person, giving them the space to share something meaningful. There's a fine line between idle curiosity and purposeful curiosity. Idle curiosity might look like random, broad questions with no real direction. Purposeful curiosity, on the other hand, hones in on specific details that show you've been paying attention. For instance, if they mention enjoying photography, a thoughtful question could be, "What's the most memorable photo you've ever captured, and why?" That level of detail signals that you're genuinely invested. When you ask these kinds of questions, you're not just filling silence. You're co-creating a narrative together. By inviting someone to talk about their interests, you learn more about their values, goals, and personality. In turn, your engagement becomes more than just casual chit-chat. It evolves into a deeper, more meaningful exchange that both of you can appreciate. From a Stoic perspective, showing curiosity can also be a lesson in humility. You acknowledge there's always more to learn from others, no matter how much you think you know. This mindset keeps you open-minded and receptive, which is incredibly attractive. It signals that you're grounded enough to admit you don't have all the answers. It's worth noting that purposeful curiosity doesn't mean you have to interrogate someone. Tone and timing matter just as much as the question itself. Stay genuine and respectful. If you sense the person isn't ready to delve deeper, back off gracefully. Good conversation is like a dance. It flows smoothly when both partners are in sync. Ultimately, purposeful curiosity is about building a connection rooted in sincerity and depth. By steering clear of shallow questions and focusing on what truly matters to the other person, you create a space where authenticity can thrive. And in a world full of distractions and half-hearted interactions, that genuine interest is often the spark that sets you apart. Authentic humor, balancing wit and respect for maximum impact. Humor can be one of your greatest assets in any conversation, texting included. It can lighten the mood, diffuse tension, and make you stand out in a sea of mundane messages. Yet there's a big difference between humor that genuinely entertains and jokes that come off as forced or disrespectful. Authentic humor strikes a balance. It brings a smile without belittling anyone. Incorporating Stoicism might sound odd when we're talking about cracking jokes, but think about it. Stoicism is rooted in self-control and self-awareness, both of which are crucial for witty, respectful humor. You're not aiming to be the loudest person in the room. You're aiming to connect on a level that leaves both parties feeling at ease. One of the simplest ways to keep humor authentic is to draw from real-life moments. Maybe you spilled coffee on yourself this morning, or perhaps your dog decided to redesign your living room couch. Sharing these moments of human imperfection can create a bond grounded in sincerity and humility. Stoics value honesty, and what's more honest than a genuine, relatable mishap? Another key to balancing wit and respect is to steer clear of sarcasm or jokes at someone else's expense. While teasing can be playful, it often carries a risk of misunderstanding, especially in text, where tone is easy to misinterpret. Instead, aim for observations that highlight shared experiences or universal truths. When your humor feels inclusive, it enhances connection rather than alienating anyone. It's also essential to read the room, or, in this case, read the text thread. If the person you're chatting with seems stressed or preoccupied, a well-timed, lighthearted comment can serve as a welcome break. But if they're in the middle of sharing something deeply personal, you might hold off on dropping a punchline. Authentic humor is about empathy. You know when it's the right moment to make someone laugh. Timing matters just as much as the content of your joke. There's an art to knowing when to drop a witty remark and when to hold back. Pause long enough to sense the vibe of the conversation before you hit send. This brief moment of reflection aligns perfectly with Stoic principles of intentionality, preventing impulsive gaffes that can derail a meaningful chat. Ultimately, humor should bring you closer, not push you apart. When done with authenticity and respect, it can make your conversations feel lighter, more engaging, and more memorable. Keep a watchful eye on your tone. Be mindful of the situation, and remember that a touch of sincerity goes a long way. By blending wit with genuine warmth, you'll strike the sweet spot where everyone can't help but smile. Confidence in moderation. How to sound self-assured without being cocky. Confidence is undeniably attractive, but there's a fine line between exuding self-assurance and coming across as arrogant. In the context of modern dating and texting, striking that balance can sometimes feel tricky. Yet the very essence of Stoicism can help you cultivate a level-headed kind of confidence that earns respect rather than resistance. Moderate confidence stems from a clear understanding of your own strengths, and just as importantly, your limitations. When you're comfortable acknowledging both, you're less likely to overinflate your accomplishments or shy away from your shortcomings. This self-awareness radiates outward and lets others see that you're human, not a caricature of perfection. Another key aspect of confidence in moderation is the willingness to listen. Instead of dominating a conversation with achievements or witty one-liners, you show genuine interest in what the other person has to say. Even in text form, this kind of balance ensures you're not overshadowing the conversation. You become a participant rather than a performer, and that shift can make a big difference in how someone perceives you. Stoics emphasize humility as a cornerstone of emotional stability, and this principle applies perfectly when you're trying to avoid sounding cocky. Recognizing that you don't have all the answers, or even need all the answers, frees you from the burden of maintaining an image of infallibility. This relaxed approach naturally invites others to open up to you, fostering a healthier dynamic. When you're texting, it's easy to fall into the trap of self-promotion. After all, you have only words and emojis at your disposal, so it's tempting to try and wow the other person with every message. But a little restraint can actually be more compelling. Instead of constantly bringing the focus back to your own achievements, let your actions and everyday anecdotes speak for themselves. Genuine stories or insights often resonate more than endless self-praise. A moderated sense of confidence also helps you handle rejection or setbacks with poise. Not every conversation will lead to a date, and not every date will evolve into a relationship. When you're authentically confident, you view these outcomes as part of life's ebb and flow rather than personal failures. Maintaining composure, even when things don't go as planned, showcases a level of emotional maturity that most people find appealing. Ultimately, sounding self-assured without being cocky is about projecting a balanced image of who you are, strengths and flaws included. By infusing your conversations with genuine curiosity, a willingness to listen, and a dash of humility, you create a vibe that's both engaging and welcoming. It's this blend of assurance and openness that leaves a lasting, positive impression. End on a high note, knowing when and how to gracefully wrap it up. Wrapping up a conversation, whether it's a lighthearted text banter or a more serious back and forth, can be just as important as how you started. If the dialogue feels like it's dragging, the overall vibe can take a nosedive. By contrast, ending on a strong, positive note leaves the other person wanting more, setting the stage for continued engagement down the line. The art of a graceful goodbye begins with awareness. Pay attention to the flow of the conversation. If responses start to slow or the topic feels played out, it might be time to pivot or conclude. Stoicism teaches us to be mindful of what's happening in the moment, rather than fixating on external validations, like how many more lines you should send before calling it a day. Ending the conversation doesn't have to be abrupt. A simple, genuine statement that acknowledges you enjoyed chatting can go a long way. Something like, "I've had a blast talking about this with you, but I've got to run for now. Let's pick this up later." Signals warmth and respect for their time. It also leaves an open door for future texts, which can be more appealing than a sudden goodbye. Graceful endings also show consideration for the other person's schedule or emotional state. If they mention they've got an early morning or a stressful deadline, you can wrap things up on a supportive note. This small act of empathy aligns with Stoic principles of understanding and kindness, reminding them that you value their well-being as much as the conversation itself. Another benefit of a polished conclusion is that it positions you as someone who knows how to maintain boundaries, yours and theirs. Knowing when to say enough reflects a confident self-awareness. Instead of clinging to a conversation just for the sake of it, you demonstrate that you have a life outside your phone. Ironically, this often makes people more curious about you. Timing is everything. Ending too abruptly can come off as disinterested, while dragging things on can dilute the positive momentum you've built. The sweet spot is noticing when the exchange has reached a natural lull. A concise wrap-up can preserve the positive energy and keep both parties looking forward to the next chat, rather than feeling like the conversation fizzled out. Ultimately, the graceful wrap-up is about leaving the other person with a positive impression, like a great song that ends on the perfect note. With a Stoic mindset, you remain in control of your emotions and your time, offering a courteous conclusion instead of waiting for the conversation to wither. That combination of politeness, consideration, and emotional poise can be the perfect final flourish to any texting thread. So, now that you've got these 6 Stoic texting secrets under your belt, it's time to put them into action. The next time you find yourself overthinking a message or second-guessing your tone, remember the power of composure and a touch of authenticity. It can make the difference between a conversation that fizzles out and one that truly sparks. Before I let you go, I've got one last question for you. If you had to choose just one for the rest of your life, training a mischievous parrot to mimic your best one-liners, or taste testing every new cheeseburger creation at midnight, where would you place your bet? Yeah, it's random, but that's half the fun, right? If you enjoyed hanging out here today, don't forget to drop a like and let me know in the comments. I'm always down for your thoughts and your own crazy midnight snack ideas. And if you're still craving more insights on confidence, mindset, and of course those all-important texting tactics, be sure to subscribe to Masculine Stoic Mind. We've got plenty more coming your way. Until next time, keep that stoic cool in your pocket and stay curious. You never know when the next weird yet wonderful question or brilliant texting tip might pop up. Catch you soon.